whoop. Oh, that's right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing this morning? It's a cold one, Mr. Grinch. It's very, very cold out there. After having 75-degree weather just, 2 days before? What are we at now? 27 when I was outside walking Penny this morning. Let's see, has it warmed up any? Probably a little bit. The grass out there is crunchy. The wind was blowing like crazy. And now here we are with 30 degrees. Yes, it's warmed up 3 degrees. Feels like 25 out there. We're looking for a high of 47 today and a low of 27. Hey, I'm Ann Eller. Good morning, Greenwood. How you doing this morning? Hope you're well. I'm doing well. I'm finally think I might be recovering from Christmas. I must be getting older. Takes me longer to recover. I can still keep going, but at some point my body just says I'm done. But anyways, we are here today and it is, what day is it? Tuesday, one day before New Year's Eve. It's going to be cold. It's going to be cold pretty much the rest of the week, I think, isn't it? Let's double check. I didn't really check that out. Wednesday, well, today's a high of 47. Tomorrow's a high of 54, low of 37. Partly sunny skies. Thursday, which is New Year's Day, high of 62. Low of 39, plentiful sunshine. That sounds like a beautiful day. Friday's going to be a high of 60, low of 47. Looks like we have about a 20% chance of some rain. Mostly cloudy, high around 60, and Friday night. Cloudy with showers, low of 47, rain about a 60% on Friday. So that is what we are looking for that. Saturday comes in with showers early, becoming less numerous later in the day, high of 57, chance of rain 50%. And on Sunday, the first Sunday of the new year, looks like a high of 56, low of 37. And we don't really look like we have any rain. Next week, we're going to be in the 60s, low, mid-50s, I guess. So we're pretty much back to normal weather. So just wanted to give you a little update on that. Make sure you were aware of what was going on as far as weather. But, yeah, we've had this lovely warm weather, then to be hit by this. And, I think this is what keeps everybody getting sick all the time. I don't know about you, but I've had a little allergy with this warm weather and the mushrooms coming back up. Those of you that know that Penny likes mushrooms, it's a constant battle. I used to be able to walk around. I'm going to have a little aside story here before we get going. I got some great stories to tell today. But, I used to be forward looking. I'd stand with my head up, looking around and everything, checking out, making sure where the deer were and the foxes and, everything. Now I walk around with Penny on her leash, constantly looking at her to see if she's trying to eat something. Mushrooms do not do well in a dog's intestines, to say the least. Neither does the onion bulbs. Not the onions, not the green onions sprouting out, but she likes to root down and get those onion bulbs out. Yes, I know that's very bad. That's why I walk around laser focused with my eyes. Poor Penny, she thinks, what the heck? I'm just trying to get a little sniff over here. And there's Ann going, come on, come on. She does get a little frustrated with me. Sometimes she tries to eat the leash. But it's hard to be a vigilante when you've got so much to look around. Or sometimes I'd even like to look at my phone. Well, that is definitely out. The only thing I can be looking at, whether it's during the day or at night if we're out there, is watching what her mouth is doing. If her lips are moving, I got a problem. Anyways, that's a little story about Penny. I think she is starting to get the idea that I don't want her to eat anything. I was trying to figure out if I could put a collar on her that would keep her face up instead of her sniffing down, like something so she could have it around her neck. Maybe those pool noodles, build a collar so she has to look straight ahead. She can't look down at the ground. Poor dog is going, what'd I do? Anyways, that's a little Penny story here this morning. Yeah, she says, I got to come in here and protect myself. I was out there watching the front door. I'm now in here listening to what I should be paying attention to. In fact, she goes, if you'd let me up here, I'll tell them my side of the story. You're a meanie. Anyways, Penny's coming along real well. I have been, we do some private training, and I had questioned whether I was making any success, but I think she finally, at 13 months, she's very smart. And she's finally getting the picture here, and training with a poodle is pretty easy. Of course, it's easy for her to become, so you want me to step up on that thing called place? Yeah, what you got for me? She is unbelievably smart when it comes to that. She can figure out whether to do or not to do, whether the treat is worthy enough or not. So, my trainer, after explaining the difficult situation I'm having with Penny outside and the ensuing diarrhea that can happen if she eats the mushrooms or anything, I even took it so serious. I went to the vet and I said, look, I have a delicate system. I take Pepsid AC to keep from having any problems. Isn't there something for dogs? Well, we've come up with something. So the next time she eats a mushroom out there, some of them, she really likes the real tiny ones too, the ones you can hardly see. But it's really terrible to be out there with a dog and you go, drop it. And she goes, what are you going to make me do? And she sits there with a little smile on her face and a piece of mushroom hanging out of her face, out of her lip, the side of her lip. Ugh. Anyways, she is still a puppy, people remind me every day. Yes, she's a 13-month-old puppy. But anyways, I'm hoping someday to be able to stand up straight instead of having to look at the ground and wonder what my dog is doing with her nose and her mouth down there, and be able to look around. Who knows? I'll probably walk into a bear one day and I'll go, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I was watching the dog. All right. Well, I wanted to talk about a really cool present that I got for Christmas. And then we're going to launch it. I want to talk about cash. There was a short story on this radio station, WCRS, this morning about cash. And it started me thinking about a couple of avenues. One, cash, the importance of cash. Do we need cash? And then I've got a great story about all the fraud that we have and people that are getting all this money. So I thought I'd tie those two stories together for you and we'd talk about it. If you got a question or a comment this morning about what I'm talking about, pennyisms, if you have any cures for a dog that loves to eat mushrooms. I also, before I leave this subject, so I was reading about how to take care of these problems. Well, one is subscribe to a service that, kills off the onions and the mushrooms and everything. Ooh, I think I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. And so, cordon off a part of your backyard. I said, well, that's kind of hard when you have 7 acres. Everybody's kind of agreed with me. All right, 864-332-9355, 864-332-9355. If you've got a story to share with us here this morning, if you've got a little help that you thought that would be good too. So Let's see if we've gotten anybody saying anything this morning. Somebody just is saying something. Let's see. I have a 13-month-old German Shepherd, and I think this dog will be a senior citizen before I can walk with my head up. Oh, come on. Don't disillusion me. Oh, yeah. I didn't realize I was getting stooped over because I was walking the dog, stooped over, looking at what she's doing. So, yeah, I agree. It is really difficult. I've thought a lot about... Penny's looking at me. Okay. I've thought a lot about my decision last year to get a puppy because I wanted to raise it myself, and I wanted if there was anything... if there was anything wrong with it, then of course I would have to own it. I wouldn't be able to say, well, I don't really know the previous owner, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, it has been a struggle. I will just admit it. 1 year of pretty much, why did I do this to myself? However, every time we go out and get in the car, and Princess Penny sits in her car seat with her head forward, looking forward, just like she's driving and everything. I do get a lot of pride in saying, wow, this is pretty cool. Or when I ask her to say hi, Penny, and she puts her little paw up and shakes. Or any of the number of accomplishments I can look to, I know I made the right decision. But those of you that are close friends of mine know that I had many times of, why the heck did I do this? And I guess part of it is because I run the radio station, I do all these different things, and then I added Princess Penny, who thought the world revolved around her. So I guess that's probably why I kind of had to stretch beyond what there is to dealing with this. But now that we have overcome a lot of things, and if I can just keep her mouth from eating mushrooms, onion balls, or, the bulb part of the onion, I will have succeeded in several things this year. One of the things this Princess Penny loves more than anything else, because somebody else suggested, well, put a muzzle on her when she's outside. I was like, okay, but how do we play Frisbee when you put a muzzle on a dog? Whoops, I'm not supposed to say that word unless we're going out. Anyways, Princess Penny has been a delight and a hellion. She is both in one. She has challenged me. She has made me think about things. And I love the trainers that go, well, it's just like having a child. And then you look at them and you say, I never had any. Anyways, all right, let's move on from Princess Penny. She's doing just what she loves, occupying the whole time. All right, let's talk about a couple of other things. I was given a wonderful... it's from the company that does challenge coins, and it is the 250th anniversary, and it's from the U.S. Army, and it says, "This will defend." And it really is pretty darn cool. I didn't know if you'd seen one of these or not. I'm flashing it up on the screen so you can see it. I think you can see it pretty good. But it's very cool. And I love challenge coins. I love the whole idea behind them and everything. But I thought this one was very cool. And the Army was established in 1775. And, of course, we're getting ready to celebrate our 250th anniversary. In fact, they're kicking it off with the dropping of the ball in New York City. Of course, we had to have a new ball. We couldn't use the old ball. Boy, I would like to see Jeff Eller here in this day of, oh, you got to have a new ball. You got to have this. You got to have that. Because what is it? Spend more money. Money, 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 money makes the world go round. Cha-ching. All right. So with that being said, I had I was reading an article from, from the New York Post. Is this it? Nope. If we have time, I'm going to talk about this article. Man 76 grows breasts after taking common medication. Something you might want to know. Okay, I mean, I'm being serious. This is my serious face. This is a serious story. I hope we get to this one today. I've had it here for a couple of days. All right, I was reading this morning the story about, this is from the New York Post, and it says, if I can get all the ads off, HUD's Office of the Chief Financial Officer uncovered $5.8 billion of questionable payments out of nearly $50 billion in total federal rental assistance to public housing authorities, contractors, landlords, and other non-federal entities in the fiscal year 2024. So that is a year ago now. The amount, 11% of taxpayer dollars from HUD, went to more than 200,000 possibly ineligible tenants, of which 29,715 were dead. Now, I know that we've had other stories. Social Security is another one where dead people continue to get Social Security. Okay, but this is people on getting money for rent assistance. Let's see. So 29,715 were dead. 9,472 were non-citizens. And 165,398 were receiving sums that exceeded the threshold for assistance in their geographic area. So, for example, I presume that they're talking about if the normal rent assistance is $1,000, they have rents are normally $1,000 a month. I don't know how much they pay. Maybe they pay half. Maybe they pay 2/3. But they do it based on that. In another area, if the normal rent assistance is $2,000, they pay that same percentage, but based on the average rent assistance for that area. Particularly in New Orleans and other large metro areas. The HUD programs were designed to help low-income residents who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford shelter, and the possible grift means that those truly in need could have been left out in the cold. HUD officials faulted the Biden administration for a directive to push funding out the door with minimal oversight, as well as rent assistance programs placing substantial trust and responsibility in these non-federal entities to accurately assess tenant eligibility. Okay, to push funding out the door with minimal oversight, as well as rent assistance programs placing substantial trust and responsibility in these non-federal entities to accurately assess tenant eligibility. Now HUD will have to reach out to the public housing authorities. Let's see. Okay. Something just popped up over the top of my story here. Now HUD will have to reach out to public housing authorities and other entities to confirm the extent of the fraud and either pause or revoke funding. Officials will also make criminal referrals when warranted. HUD is implementing processes and procedures to revoke or pause funding as part of these efforts to hold bad actors accountable, the official said. Additionally, the department could make criminal referrals and exercise other enforcement actions once it has confirmed fraud occurred. Between October 2023 and September 2024, $33 billion was spent on tenant-based rental assistance for more than 4 million households, and $16 billion was spent on project-based rental assistance, all of which is audit reviewed. The more than 200,000 tenants were flagged for eligibility issues as part of the $1.5 billion tenant-based rental assistance programs and $4.3 billion of all the project-based rental assistance. In partnership with the Department of Homeland Security, HUD identified thousands of non-citizens were also receiving some form of Section 8 or 9 rental assistance despite not being eligible. This is unbelievable. But my point to this is, I'm beginning to think we should not be sending any of our precious money to the federal government. Either that, or when you write a check to the federal government, don't send it to the IRS. Send it to your specific cause that you want to see. Like, for example, the military. I am tired of hearing about all this fraud and abuse. Are you not tired of hearing about this? So, for example, we have different pots of money, and the federal government says, okay, we're a little short on the military this month. Who's going to volunteer their payment? Instead of sending it to the IRS or to the federal government, we're sending it directly to the Army or the Marines, or making bombs or whatever it is. The Department of HUD's financial report was aimed at a following through on President Trump's commitment to increasing accountability and transparency, as well as protecting taxpayer funds against waste, fraud, and abuse. The department's Office of Inspector General previously audited HUD's fraud risk management after an infusion of billions of dollars for housing from Biden's 2021 American Rescue Plan and President Trump's 2020 Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security, the CARES Act. That October 2022 audit determined that HUD needed significant improvement in its anti-fraud efforts, and that both of those categories were not assessing risk at all. So the two types of plans that they had, nobody was actually checking it. So that was tenant-based rental assistance, and also the project-based rental assistance, that those people that were in charge of that were not checking it. HUD also did not have a clear process in place for public housing authorities and performance-based contract administrators and grantees to report instances of known or suspected fraud to HUD. So, there you go. That's what we have going on that thing. And I think the article goes on, and it talks about, of course, some of our bigger cities, New York, New Orleans, and California, all over the place. This is what they're dealing with. So it says in here, New York's partners with law enforcement are trying to root out the corruption that directly led to the 2024 arrest, a spokesperson said. So they are trying to do something about this, but the bottom line, how successful are they going to be, and how much money are they actually going to spend on doing this? I think government is too big and too overblown. When we keep hearing stories and stories. I mean, we still got the story in Minnesota. Now the guy that did the story, what was his name, Scott something, is being attacked for whether he really is a reporter. Did he really come at a time when they had children there? I mean, this thing is just like a big piece of bubble gum that just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what is going to happen there. But the idea that we need so much money to run the federal government, that people pay their taxes, dutifully pay their taxes, to make sure that we are funding for the things we need and we want out of our government, which is basically the security, borders, some of the things that President Trump has worked on to get our country back in line. But in the meantime, we're hemorrhaging over here because we have no controls in place. So I thought that was a real interesting story from the standpoint of how much, and I happen to know some of the people who are that on a very low level make sure that they are authorizing and going through and this type of thing. But there has to be more to it than just in verifying a person's ability to have this. Now, one of the things that I have always liked is organizations such as the Salvation Army was always good at this, and Greater Greenwood United Ministry with their rent assistance programs. They actually do it one-on-one basis, and they verify things to make sure. The other thing that we have in our area that is a national program, but nonetheless is one that is in our area, is this program called Charity Tracker. And it actually can, if you are a member of it, and not all charity organizations are, but if you are a member of it, it does tell you how many times a person has been to this charity, that charity, so that they're able to hopefully detect fraud before it gets to the point. There's a lot to be said for organizations that are not under federal guidelines, that are having to watch their pennies and make sure that they are helping the most people that they can, helping get people on track, finding out why people aren't on track with being able to be independent. So from that standpoint, organizations such as Greater Greenwood United Ministry, the Salvation Army, they actually get money, they're granted money or given money by their donors to help with food. Greater Greenwood United Ministry helps with food insecurity. They help with rental assistance, lights, etc., that type of thing. And they also help with medical. Some of these programs are great models for our federal government, because what our federal government is doing is just doesn't work. They're just pushing out money, not qualifying, not verifying it. We all know this, but to see these numbers in black and white makes you say, excuse me, I want to give my money to. I mean, what if we could actually check a box? I mean, people are saying, Ann, you're friggin' nuts. No, but think about it. Think about it. On your estate tax, I know for sure you can also do it on your federal tax, but you can check a box to donate to federal campaigns or state campaigns. You can check to make a donation to any of a number of organizations. Why don't we get to decide where our money goes? Why should we let the IRS get this money in and then let bureaucrats and congressmen, etc., decide where the money goes? I think we might be better at doing this. Of course, I'm saying this tongue-in-cheek, but not really, because I am tired of hearing about all the people that put their money in, and yet we get nothing for it except to find out that somebody is skimming and grifting the system. There has to be a better way. Maybe we should shut the government down permanently. Boom. I don't know. And then, and we just have, here they are getting ready. Congress is getting ready to go back into session. They've got to deal with what they're going to do on the final budget items. What are there, 3 or 4, half a dozen anyway, that need to be before they can make a decision on the budget. And of course, one of them is health care. Look at where we're going to go there. Are we going to have decisions? People tomorrow, the government has said, no, we're rolling it back to the original subsidies for Obamacare. We're not doing the enhanced ones. So when you hear that, oh my God, they're taking it away, no, they're taking away the enhanced ones. But that still is a problem because the whole system there is broken. And yet they have known it. This is what just grinds. When you know you have a problem, that's right, you are listening to WCRS right here in Greenwood. You're also on the radio with me here this morning. You're on Facebook Live. So that was part of the issue. Now, the next part of the issue is, is what do we have, carrying cash. How many people carry cash today? How many people like cash? I love cash. I'll just admit it. I love cash. I am good with cash. Well, this morning on WCRS, they were talking about a survey that was done. We keep hearing that cash is on the way out. You can tap your phone, you can swipe a card, you can send money digitally, and for a lot of folks, that's become everyday life. But cash isn't gone, thank goodness. And a lot of Americans are saying they still need it. Me as one of them. Recent national surveys show that while digital payments dominate, more than 8 out of 10 Americans still use cash at least occasionally, and many carry it every week. You know, what happens when the whole digital system goes down and you don't have cash? That's what I want to know. And, you know, we're already dealing with systems. We've got immense needs for all these data centers, so we're already starting to push the system as to how much it can carry. So if the whole system crashed, or if our grid crashed, what would we do? Would you have cash to be able to pay for things, or would you be sitting there going, I don't have any money, I can't use my phone? Right, okay. So recent national surveys show that while digital payments dominate, more than 8 out of 10 Americans still use cash at least occasionally, and many carry it every week. For some people, it's about convenience. For others, it's about privacy. And for millions, especially seniors, lower-income families, and people without easy access to banking, cash isn't a preference, it's a necessity. So that's why this conversation is heating up about how you can pay for things. You know, there are some places when you walk in the door, they say no cash payments. And I guess, if you are that means you're not a very good place to rob, right? Robber comes in, sees no cash payments, turns around and walks out. And you're going, I wonder what he wanted to buy. Oh, I know, it's the sign. He wasn't here to buy anything. He was here for to take my cash. Survey sponsored by the Payment Choice Coalition, along with research partners, found that a strong majority of Americans support laws requiring businesses to accept cash. Even as technology advances. The argument is simple, that stores go completely cashless, some people are left out. Well, that is true. And now lawmakers are weighing in at both the state and federal levels. Proposals are being discussed that would require large retailers to keep at least one checkout lane that accepts cash. The idea isn't to stop innovation, it is to protect consumer choice and access. Supporters say cash provides a backup during power outages, protects privacy, and ensures everyone can buy basic necessities. Critics argue cash handling costs money and slows down checkout. So, do we still need cash in America? Should stores be required to accept it? And what happens to people who can't or don't want to live in a fully digital world? Do you still carry cash? Have you ever been turned away at a cashless store? Or are you happy to just say we don't need the money anyways? So, what do you think about that? Do you think we should have the right to pay any way we want to? I was also thinking about this. If they did away with cash, then we wouldn't need the mint anymore. And we wouldn't have this discussion about pennies and this type of thing. I mean, there's a whole lot of issues here. I will say, when I'm in a line and I'm going through a line, and particularly since this penny thing, and you see all over this place, we don't have you may not get exact change back. I'd be okay if you gave me more back, but, and I think most of them are rounding up if they don't have the pennies to do it exactly. But what do you think about this? I think this is a fascinating question. I mean, we think about the gold standard. We have come so far from being on the gold standard. Does our money have any true intrinsic value? I mean, a paper bill is worth $1. Well, what's $1? I mean, if you just take it back to that. When we were on the gold standard, and that brings me back to Fort Knox. Where is the gold? Is there gold in Fort Knox? Whole another subject of conversation. There is a federal proposal to require that mandates that all stores accept cash, but these are proposal and bills aiming to do this. One is called the Payment Choice Act from 2025. It was introduced by Senators Kevin Cramer, a Republican from North Dakota, and you're not going to believe this, John Fetterman, Democrat from Pennsylvania, would require businesses that accept in-person payments to accept cash for purchases up to a set amount, for example, maybe $500. Also would prohibit charging cash-paying customers more than those using cards. This bill reflects concerns about access and fairness in payments. You know, I don't know if you've noticed, but quite often, if you're using a card, businesses are charging you the fee that they get charged, which can be anywhere, from 2.5% to 3%, maybe even 5%. I'm not really in that, but I have noticed when they ask you cash or card, if you say card, guess what? That total goes up a little bit because that's a fee being charged by MasterCard, Visa, credit card companies to the merchant. So the merchant is covering their ass by getting that fee. So I had not heard that if you wanted to pay with cash, they were going to charge you more. I thought you got a discount for cash. Back when I was in the retail business, if somebody offered to pay with cash, you'd go, I can do that. Now it looks like cash could be a problem. And what about all these people buying cars and buying stuff on Facebook and everything for some of these smaller purchases? There's all these cash apps and everything you can use. But what if you don't want to use those things? You're just SOL, Dan. You just can't buy anything. In Ohio, they have the Cash Act. A proposed state bill would require businesses and government entities to provide at least one point of sale location accepting cash for transactions of $500 or less. This is aimed at guaranteeing people who prefer or need to use cash can do so at brick and mortar stores. The requirement would apply to big retailers and could mean more traditional cash lanes, staffed or automated instead of all self-checkout. You know, I have been amazed that, when you go into a store and you want to use one of those self-service lanes, they either say credit cards only, and but there also are lanes that actually accept cash. I love watching it when you put the cash in and then your change comes popping right out. I also have been in a lane where somebody obviously didn't pick up their pennies that had popped back out for their change. They just paid with a 20 or whatever and said, oh, 2 cents, I'm not going to worry about it. Well, let me tell you something. I always pick up the change if it's in those things and consider it a blessing. I will say, since the penny thing has gone away, since they aren't manufacturing pennies anymore or minting pennies anymore, that I have found less pennies. I'm a little sad about that, but I believe those come from heaven and actually from Jeff. I don't know. He's going, in. I'd throw you a penny or two, but I can't find any to throw to you. So what is the answer? What is the answer? Is this something that will age into society as more younger people become the people paying the bills and more older people age out to paying the bills? What will happen to cash? Will it become, we don't need that old form of money, cash? I certainly hope not. I think that one of the things that we don't even look at is all of a sudden everybody's going to know what you spend your money on, which I think is a highly personal thing. People should not know what we spend our money, but every time you swipe that card, guess what? Well, you were at the store today, Mabel. When you have cash and you pay with cash, nobody has to know. Husband, boyfriend, whatever, nobody, or the federal government, nobody has to know what you spent at the store that day. Or if you bought something major. How many times have women over history said, the guy goes, did you buy that? Is that a new dress? No, I've had it in the closet forever. Well, they never could tell because you paid for it with cash, right? You do away with this ability, what will happen? We will have no way to slide things through. So personally, I hope that in my lifetime at least, that we always have cash. Because I think cash is an important thing to have. And the day that they start telling us you don't have cash anymore, I think is personally a bad thing. So what do you think? 864-332-9355. Do you like cash? And I think it's interesting that, and then of course you've got Bitcoin, which is totally over my head. I've never bothered to check it out. I might should. But I do think that cash is still actively used by many Americans, especially for daily life, small payments, or by people with limited access to banking. Overall, the share of total transactions is declining as cards and digital payments grow in popularity. But there's still, our whole premise was founded on cash, and that cash was king. And what is happening? Credit cards can't be king. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just not the same. So I just wanted to discuss this because I thought this was an interesting article. It says in 2024, cash accounted for about 14% of all payments by number in the U.S., down over the years, but still meaningful. In contrast, credit cards and debit cards are much more used. Credit cards, 35%. Debit cards, 30%. Among lower-income consumers, cash is used more frequently. For example, in 2024, households earning less than $30,000 used cash on 30% of transactions compared to 14% overall. So you definitely would be hurting the lower income part of society. It says about 83% of U.S. adults use cash to pay for something in the past month, even if they also used cards or digital wallets. Around 80% of all consumers say they carry cash at least one day per week. Roughly 38% of Americans feel cash is more real than digital money, though only about 18% use it daily. I mean, really, if you've got cash, and, Dave Ramsey, he has his little system, and lots of people like Dave Ramsey. Well, I mean, I know Dave Ramsey believes in debit cards, but when you have that cash and you have to hand that out and, oh, this is how much cash I have to buy groceries for the rest of the week or rest of the month, it really becomes real to you. When you use a debit card or a credit card, it's not real to you. So many consumers hold cash passively. Cash holdings average about $67 in the wallet and $306 in the home. You remember, what's her name from Fani down there in Georgia? Her dad had told her that having cash on hand was important, and she wasn't going to tell you where she got that cash from. You remember that? Yeah, Fani. What was her name? It wasn't Fanny, it was Fani. Yeah, she's got some problems now, too, I understand. So, should we have cash? Should we make sure that having cash? I think so. I think that having cash is important. We just have to. We can't just do away with cash. Doing away with the penny, I guess, was okay. But then there's others that'll be on the chopping block. What about the nickel? I understand the nickel costs you more. So personally, I think they ought to leave these things alone. But I am kind of high on the idea that we should decide where we spend our money and what bucket the money goes in instead of letting the federal government dole out this money. I think we should do it almost like, hey, here you go. This is an interesting idea. We need to buy these weapons over here. We need to manufacture these weapons. We need, I don't know, $5 billion. Who put in $1,000? You know the old thermometers that showed how much money was in each, like United Way, or how much they had collected and everything. Maybe we need to go back to some of those ideas so that we can see exactly what is happening with our money. Because all this accounting, all this computer software, all this stuff is not giving us the answers that we want. There is so much fraud and so much abuse, and that is the problem with a big over-budgeting budget that we have, that there's no way to keep up with it. So whether we're talking about keeping cash as a way, the federal government couldn't get out of whack if they just had cash to work with, could they? They couldn't just float loans. Maybe we need to go back to saying gold is our standard, the gold standard. And that way the price of gold would determine how much our money was worth, instead of this fictitious idea that this is what it's worth. Anyways, that's my story today, and I'm sticking with it. I still like cash. I still want cash. I will still keep cash. I don't want to keep it in my mattress. I want to keep it in a safe place. But I like cash. So, shame on the federal government if they decide to do away with our cash. There is an organization. That is looking at keeping cash. If you're a cash-oriented person, let's see, where was the name of that organization? Where is it? Common Sense, Cash's World. Yes. Where is it? It was a cool story, and it was on the radio this morning, and I said, that's something interesting to talk about. I know, it was down at the bottom of the article. It's called the Payment Choice Coalition, PCC, and it was the survey that they did on people was conducted by Siena Research. So, should businesses be able to go cashless is the real question. Do we need cash? Yes. And why do we need cash? Because it's the thing that is real. It's the thing that is real. The rest of it isn't. Anyways, that's just my opinion on it this morning. We'll be back tomorrow morning on New Year's Eve to talk about some other interesting issues. I'm going to, I do want to, Penny's looking at me like, are you done yet? Come on, Ann. Are you done yet? Excuse me. Oh my God, my dog is looking at me. She goes, it's about my breakfast time. Get me breakfast. That's what I want. I want breakfast. Is that right? I want y'all to be safe on New Year's Eve. If you're going out there, please be safe out there. I did want to, let's see if I can find this real quick. I did want to talk about, I got to go out and check out Par 3. That is a Par 3 golf course right here in Greenwood. I think it's out there by Saddle Hill. What a cool place. And they really must have changed it up since when I was there, because it's been several years since I've been there. But they are really doing a lot of cool things. And I think that it would be interesting to go out there. They've got you can go out there and try their inside book an hour in their simulators on December 29th or 30th. And they'll give you another hour. They'll give you another hour during the month of January. They've had all kinds of play going on out there. I got to go out there and check that out. Have you been out there to check it out? Sounds like my type of place. Short, sweet, and get it done in a short period of time. So I want to go out there and check it out. I remember several years ago going out there and doing a whole tour, and it really was a cool course. I'm glad somebody has bought it and is now really doing something with it. The other thing I wanted to mention in closing is that Greenwood's future. Want to shape Greenwood's future? The city of Greenwood is seeking engaged residents to serve on key community boards, including the Planning Commission, the Board of Architectural Review, Zoning Board of Appeals, Building Inspection Appeals Board. If you are passionate about our community and ready to get involved, we'd love to hear from you. So this is something that you can do if you'd like to. I mean, there's a post on Facebook. I'm sure you can call the city and see. If you're not on Facebook, I'm sure you can call the city. But they want you to get involved and help shape this. And of course, you'd have to get approved to do this. So, but it is a good way to get involved in our local government. So if you'd like to get involved, they do have some openings, it looks like, on the Planning Commission, the Board of Architectural Review, Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Building Inspection Appeals Board. So just thought I would mention that right there. I think that's a good one. Also, Eggs Up Grill, they will be kids eat free with the purchase of an adult entree Monday, December 29th to Friday, January 2nd. So kids are eating free. That's another good thing. And I wanted to mention this, Flow Fest. It is a alcohol-free event for everyone. Wednesday night. This is, of course, New Year's Eve. Some are already calling this one of the biggest Christian music festivals around, and for good reason. People are traveling from all over to be part of this powerful night filled with faith, worship, and fellowship. Incredible artists from across the country bringing hip-hop, country rock, and contemporary worship all in one stage to glorify God. Featuring Christian artists and vendors from Atlanta, Greenville, Columbia, Orlando, Knoxville, Missouri, etc. They have a Christian comedian co-host, powerful testimonies, resources, local food trucks, community connections, and so much more. FlowFest is on December 31st, which is Wednesday evening, from 5 to 10. And if you're looking for a place that, number one, is family friendly and is an alcohol-free event, you might want to check this out. You can get 25% off with the promo code FlowFest25. So check that out. They do have a lot of artists that'll be there. I don't recognize a lot of them, just to be totally honest on this, I don't really know them. It is at the Real Life Church, which is 2352 Highway 72, 221 East, right here in Greenwood. That's 2352 Highway 72, 221 Real Life Church. It is from 5 to 10 on December 31st. They will have, as I said, food trucks, music, entertainment, all good, clean fun that anybody can be part of. So you might want to check that out. That is another good event going on that has a different bent to it. I tell you what, that's going to do it for me. My voice is going. I don't know. I got to have my voice. So anyways, I hope you have a great day. We'll save the man boob story for another day. Side effects of medication, folks. Side effects of medication. That's all I'm going to say about that. Tune in tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get to that story tomorrow. This is WCRS right here in Greenwood. Penny says, time to get out of this, Ann. So take it away. Drop the curtain, Ann, and we are ready to roll. Have a great day. Enjoy what's left of it. And take in the cash. That's what I have to say. Take in the cash. Bye-bye, everybody.